no romance between them. And she's kind of like, why is he bringing up this now? He's never done it before. We're supposed to be hunting buddies and whatever. And she even explains to herself that, quote, Gale won't have any trouble finding a wife. And goes on that he's good looking and ending with, quote, it makes me jealous, but not for the reasons people would think. Good hunting partners are hard to find.
No, I
It just made me burst out laughing when I read that. I'm like, you're pretty much trying to convey to yourself, oh, I'm not in love with him. No.
I think she's just trying to cover up to the readers, because remember her saying that she's a strong person. She doesn't want to show any weakness at all.
Yeah, she's just trying to convince herself that, oh, I don't need anybody else. I don't need a man in my life.
Like, I don't want you guys to think that I'm some weakling who falls in love with someone that's equally strength as I am. She's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm trying to say that he's a really good hunting
She's
buddy.
independent. She doesn't need anybody else. She's just a good hunting partner. He's just a good hunting partner.
Which is completely, I would, no.
Yeah,
I just don't
so-
think that. She's trying to convince herself that he's good hunting, but really she does
I
feel
think
something
she
for
likes
him.
him. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's not likes him, she's in love with him.
Okay.
I'm serious.
We both have different, views on loving when you're 16. She's 16, right, in this book?
I think she's 16 or 17.
Yeah.
she's
No, because
17.
Gale's 2 years older and he's 18 in this book.
Oh, okay, then she's
So,
16.
yeah, she's 16 in this book. So the reaping is referred to multiple times, and it first is explained as, we have to be standing in the square at 2 o'clock waiting for the names to be called out. That's on page 9. She also says that everyone is supposed to celebrate, and many do, as their kids are spared. However, the families, quote, will figure out how they will survive the painful weeks to come. So 2 families will figure out that. And that's on page 10. So Katniss points out how unfair the reaping system is, with the poor getting the worst of it. And she explains how once you turn 12, you're entered once, and the next year twice, and so on, up until you're 19. So 18's last year. And the catch is that if you're poor, you can buy a tessera, that's right?
Mm-hmm.
Tessera. Which puts your name in more for exchange of a year's supply of grain and oil for one person. So 1 tessera equals 1 year's supply of grain and oil for one person. It's cumulative. So at this time, Katniss has entered 20 times, while Gale is entered around 42. And that's all so they can feed their families.
Which also shows, again, bring up their part of strength and
Yeah,
bold.
definitely.
That
they're willing to basically risk their life. Because if you're in the Hunger Games, I mean, chances are you're going to die,
Yeah.
Only 1 person out of 24 survives, so.
And so that,
Usually
again,
it's careers that win, too,
I was definitely thinking that Gale was going to get picked.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
it
too.
has to
I'm
make
like,
sense.
okay, well, they're perfect for the part, It's like you're trying out for a movie. Oh, you're perfect for it. Like, they're both perfect for it.
And then plus the odds, even kind of described that the odds were against Gale.
Yeah.
There was no possible way that he could not have gotten picked.
Well, if you think about it, if there's 8,000 residents, then what? How many kids would there be?
Probably be about 2,000 kids. Maybe
You think?
less.
Probably less because, probably around, 2,000. So if you think, all right, so then 1,000 of them would be boys, I mean, that's still a high chance. So that's pretty scary. So her and Gale succeed in the amount of game they're able to capture, and they head over to the Hob, the black market in District 12, where Katniss and Gale sell or trade their game that they have hunted in the woods for other food and like salt and stuff like that. Now, okay, how do you say this thing? Greasy Say is one of the better customers, so they kind of keep on good terms with her. So after that, they head over to the mayor's house to sell some strawberries that they had collected in the woods together. And Madge, which is the mayor's daughter, is introduced at this part. And so that's kind of who Katniss tends to hang out with during school, since they both don't have a group of friends. Kind of they end up with each other. And it's spotted right here. I thought this was really important, that she's wearing a small circular pin of real gold. So, I mean, because we've read the whole book, we know that's the Mockingjay pin.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the symbol that stands out most in the entire series, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's not giving anything away, but kind of just that's really important. And that the symbol is placed in the first chapter. It foreshadows the importance of it later on in the first book and even further in the series. So I thought that was just kind of seeing how an author puts together a book, like, they plan all this out. They don't just kind of start writing, usually. They're like, all right, well, this is a symbol. I'm going to plant it here, and kind of, they don't just all of a sudden introduce it. So, I thought that was interesting, just how they first introduced it in the first chapter,
Exactly. And again, I look at the before I read this, I looked at the cover of the book and I saw the pin there. I'm like, okay, well, what is this? I had no idea what it was. I read this part. I'm like, oh, that's what the pin is. Then I read
Right.
it again when it's given to her. I'm like, okay, this is the symbolic thing. It's probably gonna be.
And knowing that it's on the front cover, it's like, okay, this is important.
It's gonna be
Like,
it's gonna be followed throughout the entire series. It has
Yeah.
to be because that's the important thing that represents the district and where she feels she belongs.
Right. So Katniss arrives back at home to get herself pretty for the reading. Definitely something she loves to do, get dressed up in frilly and everything. So one line, also, we're going into foreshadowing again. What am I saying? One line foreshadows the events to follow, and that line is that the unthinkable might happen. And then later it goes on saying, I protect Prim in every way I can, but I'm powerless against the reaping. And I just, like, that was such, I don't know, like I don't want to say solid, but, it's just so
Strong-willed. Yeah.
strong, like that quote, that, excerpt.
And it's kind of saying that she's not just saying this. She go, oh yeah, I'll protect my little sister. No, she really means that she will protect her sister.
Because anything she can do, she's going to protect Prim and her mom. But, we see that there's issues between her mom and her, just kind of the how tense it is between them. But Prim, Prim is kind of like her daughter in many ways, like she took place of her mom because, when her dad died, her mom completely fell apart and could not kind of put herself back together. So, she really shows, again, how strong she is, and, I'm saying that too much, but she is, it's like...
I mean, you never really see girl characters other than, like, for example, Hermione Granger.
Yeah.
That
we're big Harry Potter fans, Kevin knows. But, yeah.
So you see someone like that is so, like, even a female character.
So strong.
That is so strong like that. Usually you have, most stories, the female character gets captured.
Yeah.
And the male goes to rescue her. No, it's more of a sense that she is the male character.
Yeah.
In a sense. But she does have the femininity in her.
Right.
But she really does have the emotions of a boy. Or not even just two.
And she's such a good role model for kids that are reading this, and especially girls, because, you're reading this and you're like, wow, like, she's such a role model. I look up to her and, and everything. So I thought, definitely commend Susan Collins, for creating her. That's, like, awesome. Okay, so the reaping takes place at the town square, and people in the crowd even bet on which kid will get picked. So I thought that was so crude. It's like, but I guess that's just their life, you just have to accept it at some point.
I mean, if that's a way to make money to buy food,
that's true.
It
shows you how,
I mean, it comes to how needy they are, but also it makes sense. Like, to have money for your family to survive another day,
yeah,
you're gonna take that chance.
Because in this, especially District 12, like other districts not so much, but especially 12, they're the poorest district, and Katniss lives in the poorest part of District 12. So the whole issues of money, and they're really going day by day trying to scrounge up some money and everything. So.
Exactly.
Not even money, just food. But so 2 glass balls hold names, one for boys and one for the girls. And the beginning of the ceremony is where the history of the Hunger Games is explained, and so as it is every year. And I thought this was interesting because you don't really get a sense of what the background is before the Hunger Games, other than in this part. It's really not explained, and it's other than this part. And I mean, it's just not of that importance. It doesn't matter what happened before. We need to move on, kind of thing.
But that's also why the kind of Panem put it there, the Capitol put it there to remind everybody that this is what happened to people like you.
Yeah.
You come against us, we destroy you. That's flat out.
But they're also saying that, hey, we saved you. Without us, you'd all be dead anyway. Like, kind of.
So this is like saying that for you to repay us, you will go by what we say.
Right.
And even when the mayor is giving this, it has to be a biased history of the nation. Because
I doubt he wrote this, because the mayor seems like a good guy, like genuinely good guy. But, it's definitely, because it's all televised, and, it's
he has
all
to say.
script.
Exactly. All the information given to him is definitely biased, because how do we know that District 13 got into the Capitol, or the district got into it, but it's never described?
Right.
It's saying they were all killed off in the mountains because they had to climb over the mountain to get to the capital.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it never really describes if anyone got in there, but maybe some did.
Right.
Hannah won't explain that because they're saying that we killed you, you did not infiltrate us.
Right. And so, basically, what the synopsis is for this part is Panem is the nation, the district and the capital make up. Okay, so it's Panem, and then under Panem is, like United States.
Capital
We have the
and
states.
district.
Yeah. So, okay, I can't talk. I don't know why I make a podcast if I can't talk, but So this area was once called North America, and the mayor explains that natural disasters took place in a brutal war.
Okay.
So the capital brought peace and stability to these 13 districts. The dark days came, which was the uprising of the districts. 12 were defeated, and the 13th obliterated. The Treaty of Treason gave the districts new laws to guarantee peace. The yearly reminder that the dark days must never happen again is the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I mean, I don't know about you, but do you think that World War III happened and only select parts of North America survived? Like,
No.
No?
I strongly believe that it could have been natural disaster.
Natural, like mostly.
I think it could have been 2000, like the whole phenomenon of 2012.
So we'll look forward to the Hunger Games. Whole world's gonna end, end of this year, and we'll get into the Hunger Games and survive. Hopefully this podcast can keep running.
I think either that or, like Suzanne said, her father was in the Vietnam War, so she either might have wanted to have that war aspect in it, but also she probably wanted to avoid from war.
Yeah.
Putting the war because it reminds her of her father and everything like that.
Yeah.
Either
but,
way,
I mean, the whole series is about war, So that kind of
it's all
defeated your point, but
I mean, okay.
All right. Well, I kind of thought it was like World War III, like how we studied history and everything, like World War I and II, and I feel like something happened like World War III and then natural disasters and all kind of just was a complete fiasco kind of thing. So.
Okay.
So what do you think happened to start these natural disasters? Like, do you think it was just kind of the Earth, like, I mean, I kind of thought, like, it could be about like, global warming or, like, kind of those emissions that, we're doing and the ice caps melting. Do you think that had to do with it, or it just happened? There's no logical...
Like I said, it could have been natural disasters.
But sometimes, like, natural disasters, like, happen because, because all our pollution and stuff like that, do you think that might have, made ice caps melting, water levels rising? Because at some point, I don't remember where it was, she mentioned that, like, the water level did rise and, like, the edge of, North America was kind of lost and, area was smaller because of it kind of thing. That's kind of what I thought, like, rereading it, not the first time I read it, but.
I agree with you on that. That it could have been that natural disaster thing. But also, yeah, it could have been war because, again, you're always going to have what we said, World War I and II, going to be nations that disagree with everything that another nation does. And so it can be difficult for everyone to come in a good, big peace agreement. So there could have been one time major powers went against each other.
Right.
And they destroyed everything.
Right, yeah.
And then these people were the survivors.
Exactly. Yeah, because, I mean, I think, like, do you think the rest of the world was kind of obliterated, too? Just, like, not by the capital or anything, because the capital emerged out of this whole disaster, but...
That's what I was thinking. I mean, how can you have just North America be this obliterated part when out the rest of Europe?
I mean, there's so many unanswered questions we're never going to get. I mean, we could always, guess and everything.
And if there are people that are still living in Europe that did not get affected, why aren't they understanding what's going on here?
Yeah.
And trying to
that
stop
also
it.
might be something that comes up later in the series. And
okay.
Just as a side note, no, I'm just saying, like, I'm pretending I didn't read the other books, but I've read the whole series. But Matt here has read the first book. I'm not yelling at you.
Yeah.
We have issues because he won't read the whole Harry Potter series. But
don't say that.
Message him and tell him to read the series. Okay, enough Harry Potter.